Welcome back, everyone, to the LJL, officially unofficial, and welcome to our third game of the day in the LJL Academy. Oh my gosh, that last game promised to be competitive, but it ended up being a little bit of a rout by the end. Now, coming into our third game, we maybe be expecting it to be a rout, and it ends up being very competitive in the end. Maybe? I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here. It's V3 versus Sengoku. It's the top versus the almost bottom of the table. It's going to be quite a mess.
It's the tied bottom of the table with Sengoku Gaming, and they're going to be struggling hugely in this one. V3 Esports have looked like they are going to be the probably dominant team and team to beat. They are definitely, in my mind at the moment, the favorites to win the whole of Academy. Whereas on the opposite side, I'm just hopeful that we have a few strong moments for the side and the members of Sengoku Gaming, and that we've already started to see that. I think back to Nina on that Callista, where there was almost that hero comeback play, and I was like, oh, well, maybe there's a chance. Yu has had some solo bolos, so he is getting isolated kills. Aki as well has had some good spots. The problem is, it's momentary good spots I'm seeing from the side of Sengoku Gaming, whereas I see consistent good things from minute one in almost every single match from V3. I get moments in every other game from Sengoku.
Well, I mean, obviously, with us having seen a V3 Academy playing it earlier on in the days, I apologize, there's two kittens fighting right next to me.
No, I can understand. I can understand. It's 10 a.m. It's their prime fighting time. They understand that Sengoku Gaming and V3 are on.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. One is a Sengoku supporter, one is a V3 supporter, obviously, so they have to maul each other.
Of course.
So for V3 side of things, V3 being one particular kitten who right now is stomping on Sengoku kitten.
Okay.
what have you liked about V3 up until this point? What have they been doing particularly well as a team?
Well, I think it's the fact that each player in each role at the moment is very much fighting for the fact of being best in role at the moment. So I'm very excited that there is actually the fact that a member of every single role in each of these, on the side of V3 looks good, especially that top laner. I said this before and I'll say it again. Owashide, when we came in, was an unknown commodity. Well and truly unknown. They hadn't played in many tournaments before. They were the rookiest rookie on the whole of this V3 lineup. They're looking solid. They're looking very solid. They won a 1v1. They played that Jarvan 4 in a matchup where I was like, I'm interested. They became the crowning achievement of their match versus Detention Focusing, landing multiple cataclysms on immobile carries on the side of Detention FocusMe. They role-played perfectly. They did exactly what their team did, and the rest of the team, they did their jobs afterwards. He set them up. They set down those pins. I want to see if they can do that again, and this is potentially versus slightly easier competition.
Well, I mean, this kind of brings up a kind of a sort of broad point here. It's Swan, if you're the V3 team here, you're going up against a team that have been taking a pretty heavy beating in the tournament so far. I mean, as we talked about right back at the beginning, it's a really, really heavily divided between top and bottom of the table, and we'll see that in this match. How do you get the most out of this game possible? Because if we take it as a given that outside of something outrageous happening, V3 are going to win, how do you get the most out of this game rather than just being, kind of a thank you next kind of situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, go into this pick and ban phase with a plan, with an idea that you want to execute. If you're going in feeling like this is probably unfavored, and to go back to a Magic the Gathering analogy, if you think the matchup is 30-70, they are favored 70%. That's pretty much enough where you go, I'm probably going to lose. Let's go over to pick and ban phase. Well, I'll continue this analogy over. Where if you think it is 70-30. What you want to do is go, okay, well, how do I win that 30% of the time? What are my outs? What are the ways in which we can manipulate the situation to be favored for us? I don't know how, Sengoku, but I want them to come in with a plan, even if it fails and they don't execute it flawlessly or it just doesn't kind of work out for them. I still think it's really important that they can go back to the drawing board. They can go back to their coach, Yutori Muashi, and kind of go, okay, this is where it went bad for us. what did we do bad and what can we do in the future to kind of prevent that from happening? Because Sengoku Gaming still need to find a win or two. You don't want to be last place going against V3 in a best of one scenario for your playoffs live. That just doesn't sound like a situation you want to have yourself in. Whereas if you can get 1 or 2 wins, if you can start doing some experimenting and finding that win here, hey, an upset versus V3, that would be a game-changing statement to the rest of the academy if you're able to do that. But as we come through, pick and ban phase is here, and we've got a lot of bans coming out and a few picks.
For sure. So for V3, looks like they focus down towards the bottom lane, including the Ziggs in their ban, which I think you found out a very interesting stat about the Ziggs coming in today for.
Yeah, Ziggs has not won a single match in the LJL Academy, yet it's been picking up so many bans and still super high priority, and I absolutely agree with it. It's really good. It's a really good champion. You shouldn't let it go through.
Well, speaking of good champions, for V3 they've gone straight for the Jace, but for Sengoku they have gone for the all-powerful Viego pairing with the Braum. We've seen both of these picks do spectacular stuff for other teams.
Yeah, absolutely. We had Reset City earlier on in the day for V3 Esports. We saw Unica absolutely pop off on Lee Sin. Was it yesterday, I want to say? I'm going to say yesterday that he did that in. But at the moment, it seems like V3 Esports are just kind of going, hey, well, we can pick Jace. We can flex that between mid and top. We're going to get Unica, put him on Volibear duty, but Volibear can also flex between jungle and top. I don't really like it top, by the way, but I'm just making it clear that they can do this. And I really like this fact that they've gone kind of, they're matching jungler probably with jungler, and they're matching support with support. V3 Esports are not representing anything, and even with this Jace, as I mentioned earlier, it's a flex, so it's very reasonable to think that V3 Esports are still open to the idea of doing all kinds of different stuff. Jace is good in a lot of different spots. Is Sengoku going for a Aphelios? They are looking it in, so they are going for a power bot lane of Braum Aphelios. Procking that passive is so easy with a Hail of Blades, or depending on the direction that they go with, you can also go for Conqueror.
So coming out of this first phase, you know, we wanted to see Sengoku make that 30% play. You know, that's what we're coming into this one. With what they've gotten so far, are they set up to even have the chance of making the upset?
You got an Aphelios, you always have a 30%. You've got an Aphelios, you've got Vape Nation with Viego. You've got the chance. You've got the scaling. There is always going to be a chance if this game goes to 40 minutes, 50 minutes. Absolutely, it's on the table. Just raw scaling and the fact that if the game isn't over, you have some of the most late game scary champions in all of League at the moment. So if we go late, that's how Sengoku can win this. If they can stem the bleeding, and if V3 don't have the sieging capabilities, absolutely. My concern, though, is V3 do have one champion that's really good at sieging. Well, realistically, they've got 2 champions that's really good at sieging, and that's Volibear, who can just turn off turrets, and that's Jace, who can just poke you nowhere near turret range. So could be a little bit concerning for the side of Sengoku, but hey, they've got a Braum shield, pretty good at that.
Yeah, they'll have to rely on that breakable door to try and deny. As for Sengoku's side, they focused entirely on trying to improve the matchup for the Aphelios there. So no Kalista, no Varus poke in this game. For V3, they're taking away the top laning power after Tam Kench. And as we saw already, how powerful that Jarvan can be for setting up plays.
Yeah, and in mobile carries like Aphelios, they really don't like Jarvans because Flag and Dragon to Cataclysm, it's just so much CC and I can't get out of this. And guess what? If you're going to have to go against potentially an Ornn, because it is still a potential, well, if you're going to have to go potentially against a Jace, you want to play Ornn. You want to play someone that can just try and go, well, I'm not going to die, I'm just going to stay in lane, maybe reset occasionally, then come back and then just kind of rinse and repeat over and over again. Probably going to go Spellbook if they're going Ornn or Big Grasp. It's only one or the other, depending on if they want to kind of reset a bunch or try and make other map plays around. It'll be interesting to see. Marble! Wow. They just want to kill this Aphelios. You know what? If you can't do a J4 to get on top of them, next best thing is just go, don't worry, I'll go Wind Wall around me and I'm just going to Devil Trigger, pull it down it's an S rank and we're going to go all in. Also, Gwen, that's probably going top. This Ornn's going to have a horrible time as it's probably going to be Jace mid. The great thing is both these two champions can flex between both of the two lanes, so whichever one here you want to go for in mid, Sengoku, pick it now.
All right, this is the last chance. They've taken the late game. At least Akainu will have the reliability of the Syndra in the mid, but
huge.
Okay, so yeah, we've got our final setup here. You mentioned from Sengoku's side, they've got the late game if they can get there, but they're against V3 with the shortest game time of any team in the league. Surely, you're not. If you're Sengoku, you can't be the team that's going to stop that from happening.
No, and also V3 have opted into favorable matchups for both their laners in the solo lanes with this Gwen and Jace because they could flex it because Gwen and Jace are both AD and AP. They've got the kind of damage profiles spread out rather equally. It's going to be really important that both of the players on the side of Sengoku Gaming in the solo lanes, they don't actually give V3 many advantages. Now, that's pretty hard when you're not in favorable spots. At least this Syndra is always, as you mentioned earlier, it's going to be safe. It's going to be reliable as I enter the void well and truly this time. Kai'Sa's not on the map, so Kassadin, let me leave. It's okay. I am hopeful that Sengoku won't have a horrible time, but Ornn versus Gwen is just such a nightmare match. Like, snip, snap with an E first, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun.
Yeah, it's looking rough for Sengoku, but okay, if you came into this one, Swan, with a 70-30 in favor of V3,
well, it's not 70-30 anymore.
Yeah, I was just saying, has that 30 shrunk as a result of this champ select?
It has, but guess what? It also jumps to 75% if they get to 40 minutes. This is the late game composition wet dream of a few years ago, where you just go, let's just get to 35 minutes and then we win the game. Yeah, with Viego, with Syndra, with Aphelios, with an Ornn. Like, this is like the most late game of late game team compositions. The only way you could go even more late game would be play Senna with a Lissandra and kind of go for that crazy idea of just, we're always going to have everything and anything. Yeah, that is my hope for Sengoku Gaming. It's really bad early game, but it gets really good late game.
Oh, this seems to be, I know certainly I'm sure we both see it a ton of times where the, the lesser, I'd say directly lesser team would be the one to go for the late game and never really get to that point because they just don't think they can compete in early. But so, I mean, we're going to take as a given the V3 come into this one massively favored. So putting that aside, can you weave me a tale of several distinct things that would need to happen if we're going to see Sengoku be the only team to push V3 to the late game?
Maybe they're able to play around Braum a little bit. Braum with that passive, Braum is still very powerful, regardless of the situation you find yourself in with the champion. So it starts with Braum. You can still find early kills with Aphelios Braum because that's just still a very strong combination. I don't know if you're going to get that, so maybe you might have to play around your jungler in some capacity. The most important thing is not to fall behind in this early game for the side of Sengoku. If you fall too far behind, it's going to become even harder to go because you are a scaling composition, and if you don't have the time to scale, it gets very difficult. Stem the bleeding, put some patchworks up, don't let dragons go too far. Like, do not let the side of E3 dragon stack too much, even though, guess what? Hint, hint, they're very good at dragon stacking, so worry about that, though that's the threat I would do. Just stem the bleeding. Don't let them go too far. Make sure you are following around and kind of catching up with objectives. Don't let them roam without you guys knowing, and they could absolutely do it.
All right, guys, it's time for game number 3 of day number 4. It's the top of the table versus nearly the very bottom. V3 versus Sengoku. V3 with their 5-game winning streak on the line. This is certainly not the game anyone predicts for that streak to end, but when it gets onto the Rift, it's anybody's game. Hopefully, Sengoku have got something surprising in store.
Yeah, and they have got things like Viego, right? Like Viego is always just going to be good. We are going to get the grasp of Undying Orn, as I mentioned. It could be an Omni Stone, or we could get something else. But no, it is going to be a grasp. We're not going for a spellbook or anything else. Whereas over on the opposite side, V3, they've got the triple conqueror kind of style. They've got press the attack on that volley bear, and then Rel has decided to go. Rel didn't go for a guardian. Oh no, of course no. Rel of course doesn't go for a guardian. So actually no, everything here looks very normal, if you ask me.
All right,
and it's going to be important where these junglers start because they're both starting on their reds, so that's going to be an interesting spot.
Well, let's talk through these first 10 minutes then. So the things you've noticed so far. So V3 very very good at taking objectives. AI, so I don't know if the AI is taking into account the particular teams they're playing or just the picks themselves, but it doesn't mind the actual team compositions too much.
No, and so from my understanding of how Blitzcrank stand-up works, and obviously I don't really have full in-depth of how it works, but from my understanding, Blitzcrank takes into just the champions in question. So they're mostly thinking this game is pretty even. It does favor Sengoku Gaming through a majority of the mid and early game, which is surprising because considering they're playing the scale comp. But I guess at the opposite side, V3 are also playing a pseudo-scale comp because they've got things like a Jace who can just start one-shotting people with mid to late game, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Already going aggressive and already showing that Syndra is going to have to respect him as this game goes later and later because that poke is a lot easier to land from Jace than it is for Syndra.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't not seen very much Jace at all so far. We know how dangerous the pick can be. Of course, we keep our eyes closely on the top lane as well as Washadae's Gwen being picked in there to give you a really miserable time on this one.
So, as we kind of come through, we see how these early lanes are going to go. And obviously, as I mentioned, in pick and ban phase, Ornn versus Gwen is it's not fun for the Ornn player. It's not an Ornn gaming moment. You kind of want to have to just sustain and deal with it. Once you get a little bit later into this game, it becomes a lot more reasonable for you, but just because it becomes more reasonable does not mean it becomes good by any stretch of the imagination. This is a lane that Gwen wins from minute 1 all the way through to minute 50 if it's in an isolated matchup. Ornn has to go very peculiar and normally ask for help. Viego is very good at helping about that, but they're going
in the bottom lane. That will be Sengoku in big trouble here. Already taking an absolute ton of damage. TP coming in. Sengoku are all inning this play, despite how poorly it started. And there's a double kill for Marble straight away. We're starting to see where some of those stats come from. As Akainu, I think we're setting some sort of record here for amount of kills in the shortest amount of time. Yu-Gi-Oh! Snaps that one up. No triple for Marble.
So you know how I said the playbook for Sengoku Gaming was to stem the bleeding, to not die early game? That's over. A double kill onto Marble in the first few minutes. That's probably the only player on this team I would have said, all right, this is probably the worst case scenario. But Hattel identified a really powerful moment. They got on with that Rel, went for the Hexa Flash, absolutely executed flawlessly, and Marble now gets to go pick up and kills Chill. And after this, the Syndra that came in, teleported, flashed away immediately. Yu-Gi-Oh is just like, well, I have slows for days. I can just jump on you with a hammer. Yu-Gi-Oh is able to do that. And then they're like, hey, let's just make sure our mid laner gets this. And then he comes back to lane and then resets, pushes the lane out. Doesn't, obviously neither of them have TP. So Syndra loses even more CS. And Yu-Gi-Oh's like, pretty good spot. I'm in a great spot now, if anything. I've got a kill, I've got an assist, and I've caught up on the CS department that I was behind. So net win across the map for V3. Sengoku, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for them.
You see, I was about to kind of get into a longer discussion with you about, things Sengoku can do to avoid having that happen, and then that happens. Yes. So I guess it kind of makes it a bit of a moot point. So instead to change tacks a little bit, so this is probably the worst case scenario outside of getting completely aced in the first 5 minutes for Sengoku.
Yeah.
Are there any, what can you do to stop this from snowballing wildly out of control?
Ward up, have Viego camp / do full clears because Viego needs to get 6, and then maybe try and find something. Do not fight them. Do not fight them. I don't care how juicy it looks. It could so easily be a bait.
Aki is coming to the bottom lane. So this, well, unfortunately, this looks like the setup for the gank there isn't fantastic. So V3 will just walk away. This is right next to the dragon, though, so maybe Sengoku can actually get the first Drake.
Yeah, this is lane priority. Sengoku Gaming played this very well. V3 attempted to try and do something. The problem was they were trying to have their cake and eat it too, because you could see Hatel was not helping with the wave remotely. They were just kind of letting Marble have that be pushed into them. So it does seem like the side of V3 actually decided to end up for a freeze in the spot lane instead of going for that dragon or trying to make a play around it. They're like, well, we don't really have the positioning at this moment in time. Syndra is actually pushing in Jace at this moment. So let's just see if we can set up a freeze. We're probably not going to be in a spot to fight it. If Unica can take this dragon down beforehand, and that's what they were hoping for, because they didn't know where Aki was. And it was that unfortunate thing of Aki was actually like, well, if I was their jungler, where would I be? I'd do dragon. It just worked out that it was at 2k health, so it was perfectly leash for them to take.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is fantastic news for Sengoku, considering especially, if they fell behind early on, you identify one of the kind of win conditions that V3 have lent very hard upon is to take Drakes on spawn continuously and then, be hoovering up the soul when it comes to around the 25-minute mark. Yeah,
and doing what they just did there, that's stemming the bleeding. As I mentioned at the very beginning, I think I'm going to use that a lot for Sengoku in this series, because it's all about just preventing the side of V3 capitalizing as much as we did see them do. Oh,
Aki walked across a control ward of V3 on the way here. This is why Yu-Gi-Oh knows that they are there, but doesn't get caught this time round because there's actually a control ward of Sengoku's in the river that spotted the counterplay coming.
Yeah, the sweeper as well, just to verify and confirm that, yes, Yu-Gi-Oh is there, and it is not safe for me to go for it. However, every moment he walks out, that control ward that you mentioned just sees him again, and this whole time it's just giving time for Unica. Unica has just upgraded his smite, so both our junglers now have upgraded smites. That's an important disparity, and they've also got their first items after that back. The difference is Unica has 3 assists, and Aki just looks good on this Viego. That's the compliment I'm giving.
Yes, I mean, they certainly seem to be doing it all right so far, as there's a catch on to the Braum and just bursting through with that 2-kill Samira damage. Even with all shields up, it still wasn't enough there to make a difference for Chile.
Yikes. Samira's not meant to do this anymore. So when Samira came out, I remember casting, doing an event with you just as Samira had come out, as Yu-Gi-Oh is looking to go even more aggressive, but it's just going to be slapping Syndra around and then resetting.
Yeah, Samira.
So when Samira first came out, I remember casting the P9 event with you hosting that one.
Oh, wow, yes.
Samira had just come out, and Samira was a broken mess at that moment in time. Marble's giving me vivid memories of that.
Well, we do have the chance for a bit of a turnaround here for Sengoku, as Aki is here looking for those resets, but has to flash away, because you cannot follow up at all. Watchaday locks down the kill. You getting tower dive by Watchaday as well. You buying a lot of time, but Watchaday is so strong. V3, they've got a streak of 5-0. Now they're 6-0 in this game.
This is probably also going to be first turret if they really wanted it, because Gwens are kind of terrors at taking turrets, and the issue is they also have that Rift Herald, so if they want to spawn it, yeah, they're going for it. They're actually going to take a turret at 10 minutes, sub 10 minutes. This turret is going down, and this just shows the raw power that a Gwen has, and she hasn't even got a Nash's Tooth yet. This is a Gwen that is well and truly further ahead than she should ever be. There's a large CS of about 3 waves now. Oh, this is gonna just get from bad to worse as we come into this replay counterfeit. This just starts looking pretty good for Sengoku at the start, right?
Yeah, I mean, the whole setup was good, but Unica was there. And yes, the second Unica showed up, immediate cancel every plan.
Yeah, and what they do is they play this really well. They go back and forth, and in the moment it looks really good for them. Unica actually decides to pop that ult, which is important because they didn't want to pop it early. They take that extra tower shot, and Washide doesn't accidentally auto-attack the turret, as I did when I first played Gwen a few times. I was not the cleanest, and now look at that. There's a Rift Maker, there's a Divine Sundra. Oh my, the Sidus V3 is well and truly accelerated. 6-0, 5k gold lead of 10 minutes in. Huh. That's almost a 500 gold advantage every minute for V3.
I mean, that's what V3 are all about here in the Academy League, stomping their foot on the accelerator. You know, not just against teams like Sengoku, who they're dominating here, but in pretty much every game they're playing, they're trying to find the shortest path to victory. Because, yeah, it's worked up until this point. No team has been able to stop it, and if it keeps working, surely V3 will just keep on doing it.
Yeah, not only that, the side of V3, they find the opportunities around the map. Look at this. The dragon spawns immediately. Unica's on it. His bot lane also have priority. So guess what? They're just playing cable cart. They're just like, hey, if we go this side, we have to go that side. If we want to go that side, we go this side. And they're just kind of playing to fro everywhere. They secured that dragon. It does seem like Washide is going to also secure this blue buff. Aki, you do not want to now face that Gwen because they have a blue buff now, so you will not win that exchange. While you might like to, and that might be the dole of your ex-lover, Viego, it's not a fight you want.
Yeah, there's very little to love about being in a 1v1 against Washide here. That Rift Maker, you know, the difference maker, especially when Aki hasn't got their own mythic as of yet. Sengoku,
this is so rude.
They're going to get pushed away from their own tower, though this might be a mistake. TP coming in. TP in response from V3, but it might be too late. Nana is very low, but no, does drop. In comes Marble Samira to clean this place up. Full commit in here for V3. They're so strong right now. At least there will be one casualty, Washide, thanks to the tower, but the tower in the bot lane will fall as well. That's all the plating gold as well available for V3 to keep on snowballing.
And Marble is just so good at playing League of Legends, but this was all started realistically from Hatal and Unica. They played that fight so flawlessly. As we come into this replay, I want to just identify really that this is all just Hatal and Unica, regardless that this is a net negative play for Sengoku Gaming, because guess what? They had more members coming into this. Look at this Magnet Storm. They set it up perfectly, and so much of the damage happens before really extra members get here. Afterwards, it just becomes a formality, a perfect situation for V3 Esports, and it ends up being an ace. Really well played, but it's all set up through Hatel and Unica in that brush.
I mean, and this definitely plays to V3 style. We saw them in the first game today. You know, they're the playmakers, they're the decision makers who decide where the fight is going to be taken. And that while your team is huddling and trying not to die, they're the ones surrounding you like a pack of wolves, trying to find any weak point to exploit.
Absolutely, they are just like a pack of wolves. They are hungry, waiting, willing, and maybe the apex killers in the LJL Academy as well at the moment. So I would be terrified if I was anybody else in the league at the moment, especially looking at just where this gold graph is going. We ballooned. We're currently probably at a 7k gold lead at less than 15 minutes in. I don't know if we've had such a decisive one-sided match. While we hinted in the pre and post game that it might be like this, I don't think it would actually go quite this horrendously as, oh god, Syndra.
Kind of just nothing to say there at all. I guess that was one of the questions coming in is, I'll hold the phone on that one actually. He has to use the ult to get across the wall. Is whether or not V3 would be taking it a little easy in this game, because, you know, everyone expects them to win. They don't need to exert full effort. Apparently, they decided, no, we're going to treat this game exactly the same way as we treat any other game, which is to be absolutely relentless.
And rightly so, because that relentlessness means that there's no opportunity for Sengoku to really learn how they're failing so badly in this kind of situation. Because what is the identifying point for the side of Sengoku Gaming here? Okay, so we went for a play, but it turned out that actually Sengoku V3 were just really, really far ahead, even with a 5v4 situation. We just were really far behind. Okay, well that sucks. Okay, so how did we lose this game? Well, we went for a play in bot lane and it didn't work out. Well, that sucks. We went for a play in top lane and it didn't work out. Okay, that sucks. What happened mid? Oh, well, the mids just roamed and it worked out for Yu-Gi-Oh! And it didn't work out for Akinu. Like, honestly, there's not a lot where you can kind of point one finger at for Sengoku Gaming and go, this is where it went bad for you guys, right? And that's an important distinction because you want to have decisive points which you can review back and go, okay, this worked, this didn't work. For V3, you just get to go and go, well, from minute 1, we were looking very good. We won the 2v2, we won the 3v3, we won the 4v4, and we won the 5v5. And oh, by the way, we also won the 1v1s in top and mid. It feels tough if you're Sengoku. I feel bad for them because it feels like they're so far behind and their lack of vision that they have to go for kind of some cheese plays. And we've seen some cheese plays work in the past.
Yeah, Chili's gonna bait out. They're waiting for Marble. There we go. They found Marble. They're gonna go in and make the immediate play. We'll be able to drop down the wall. Marble still gets the kill despite being the one who was supposedly ambushed there. All credit to Sengoku. This is the first time, I think, for quite some time, we've seen them proactively trying to make a play themselves.
Yes, absolutely. It seemed like they were trying to do some stuff. They've been very what is it, aggressive, the term I'd like to use here? They've been very willing, rather, more than I'll say, to use that. Oh, mug! They've been very willing to use their teleportations around the map. Think about that play that happened down in bot lane very early on, where we got a very early Syndra TP coming in. Obviously, the 5-man play that happened, both you and Akatu both teleported down. This is a team that is at least willing to commit to a play. Now, even if it doesn't work, at least there is that reliance and belief that they can do it. But I want to come in on this and highlight that obviously Marble Windward immediately dives through and he just won a solo 2v1 because his teammates weren't helping him there. His teammates were far more interested in going on to Felios and kind of dealing with Viego and everything else and killing a Braum. He somehow it's I don't want to say it's over, but it might be over. Counterfeit.
It's over, isn't it? Isn't it?
I'm just glad that I'm glad that Melvin isn't seeing this game. That's what I'm.
Melvin, turn your eyes to the screen. You don't need to see this.
Don't look, man. Don't look. It's just going bad. It's gone from bad to worse to maybe a catastrophe at this point for the side of Sengoku Gaming and
bad to worse to worse.
Well, it's 10k at 18 minutes. We're now borderline in like 700 gold per minute advantage now for V3 Esports. It's a rough time for Sengoku.
Let's go back to the card game analogies. Let's see some high variance plays from Sengoku. You may have so there we go. Make the play. Do the thing.
Oh, fully commit on these two. Go for it.
Do it! Do it now! Yes, come on, Sengoku! This is your time, this is your place! There's the deletion! They finally get a second kill! Immediately, the Gwen goes charging in! This is a chance to turn back round once again! They do it! They get the third kill! This is what we wanted to see from Sengoku! They somehow managed to find 2 kills in the midst of all this morass!
I love the blind commit that Washide did. He just went at 5 members like they weren't even there. They were just like, yeah, it's fine. Only the Aphelios is here in their eyes. But in reality, there were actually 5 members of the side of Sengoku Gaming. And mist is only so good when multiple members can hit you from outside of your mist or inside of your mist because you dived into 5 of them. That wasn't a smart move, but it looks like they're going to get something back on their time.
Yeah, Aki saying, no, this is territory of Sengoku. At least that's what it says in the sign here coming out of the river. But as we know, V3, they've got 3 towers so far. They've taken possession of a lot of ground here on the Rift. Sengoku, they got their 2 kills. They've got our kill on Aki. They've got our kill on Nina. They got them on the 2 hyper carries. So it couldn't have gone better.
No. I love that we're trying to find how this can go well for Sengoku Gaming because honestly, it's the only thing that's keeping this game believable for me. Because I need that copium. I need to believe that there is an opportunity for Sengoku Gaming. Baron is up on the table, but V3 aren't going for it. So like that's good for Sengoku, right? Let's find the good things. They're not going for it.
Well, that last play wasn't so good. It's also level 13 for On. We have officially reached the ornament stage. We're getting some of that payoff up for the late game. I mean, 20 minutes being the late game is a little crazy, but we reached at least a point where Sengoku are getting a payoff for having played the pick.
Yeah, we just gotta hope that the copium keeps coming for us, so that Sengoku Gaming can maybe find another one where they can kill 2 members for just no reason. They shouldn't. I'm still surprised that they were even allowed to do that. But hey, if you put yourself in the situation to try and make that play, I'm thinking back to that early bot lane play that they tried to make, it didn't work out, but at least they're trying for it. If they keep going for these Hail Marys, it can have at least the chance to work. Whether it will or won't is a whole nother kettle of fish, counterfeit. But
well, Swan, look at the jungle, the top sector here. There's 3 different control wards of Sengoku in this top quadrant. They're trying to control vision in that space behind the Baron pit, presumably so they can set up again for a death rush.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, they're like, well, realistically, the more concerning thing for us at the moment is that maybe they just go for Baron and we don't know that they're doing it. They can get a oh my
god.
You know, poke, you know how we were talking about poke in our last match? Well, I think the poke just got more impressive. I
thought I hallucinated a Zoe for a second there, because that was terrifying. The Herald will sneak in. At least it won't be able to get on the charge onto the inhibitor tower, but Sengoku give up more territory as Yu goes out to get a little bit of warding down. You can see the vision, which was so jealously guarded by Sengoku in their own jungle, is being stripped away from them, and soon the map will be entirely black.
Yep, and in a few seconds, this dragon's coming up, so guess what? Well, Yu-Gi-Oh! and Marble will go and do that, and Washide is quietly just going to pop the mist there and go, yeah, I can nullify your ult, Orn. That's kind of how my abilities work. Good stuff.
Oh, that is painful. It's so painful when you see that interaction happen and say, oh no, they didn't know that was going to happen.
But I have to hope they did, or at least they were attempting to make the play, because there's the world where Washide doesn't do it, right? You have to make to make another card game analogy, make your opponent make the play. Don't just assume they're always going to play perfectly. Make them play honest, make them do it, because there's a world where he doesn't do that, and maybe they find the kill there. Maybe they get the shutdown. Well, not a shutdown, but maybe they get the kill onto them, and that's an opportunity for more gold, more experience, and maybe a way back in. It's no guarantee, but it's at least an option. Right?
Oh, I see what you mean. You know, give the opposition an opportunity to screw up. Because we see so many teams when they go behind, they'll play so conservative because they don't want to lose anymore. You know, you've got this aversion to losing any worse than you are right now.
Fallacy, yeah. Real.
There's
I've invested
no
so
opportunity.
much.
There's no opportunity at that point for the other team to screw up because you're not making them do anything risky.
Whereas if you actually put yourself in the circumstance to allow them to do that, hey, it's not an awful time for you. You can at least be like, we're trying to do something, but Yu-Gi-Oh keeps landing these empowered shockwaves, and it gets worse and worse every single time, and Unico just kind of ran him down there.
Yeah, I kind of, with no flash. That does mean that is all the tier 2 towers gone. Do remember, of course, that's a chunk of gold across the V3, who are over 10,000 gold ahead, as much as we've been trying to find ways for Sengoku to get back in. The wallets are out. Sengoku are being beaten down with raw gold value.
And they're just going to keep doing it. They're just slapping their wallets here. 24 minutes in, some people might be like, oh, it's really early to be taking inhibitors. Nah, this game might be over in the next 10 minutes or next 5 minutes or so. Dragon will be up in a few moments, and Jace will be very quick on this map because it's a Cloud Soul, so he'll be a very speedy boy because guess
Flash
what?
On there is the rail ult to bring them all in. And you mentioned right back at the beginning, we haven't seen a ton of it, but the target shut off. Fight next to the towers. Nice use of the stasis there to deny the kill, which means Sengoku lose the inhibitor tower. They've lost the inhibitor in the top lane. They're going to lose it in the mid as well. V3. They may. I think you call this. This comes back to me from much earlier on. V3. Right now, they are the shining team of the Academy League. Sengoku, they're the sputtering flame in the bleakness that is a 0-4 record. Some moments of glory, but those moments are few and far between.
Yeah, and we've seen them even in this match as well, and at least that's one thing that Sengoku can go and be like, okay, this game looked bad for us, but we still had a good spot. And sometimes that's all you can look back on a game. You can go like, okay, we just made so many mistakes, but we made one good one. Pat ourselves on the back of that one good one. It shows that V3 aren't perfect, and I mean, hey, maybe a Baron Steel's on the line.
You gotta go for it. You gotta go for it, Sengoku. You're so far behind. Even if you get the Baron, you're still behind. Aki is there, and as expected, yes, goes in. But unfortunately, V3 read that was coming a mile away.
Yeah, they slowed down. The moment that Baron got down to like 4K, they were like, and we're just going to stop. And we're just going to keep it at 4K because this Viego is going to have to play around us, or we're just going to do it when we feel comfortable. Forced him around early. Yujo playing really well, coming around that backside, basically going, hey, if you want to come in, you got to go through me. Viego does not want to currently go through Yu-Gi-Oh's chase at this moment in time. You can just look at the items and go, Yu-Gi-Oh has 3 completed items. Aki, rather, sorry about that, has only got 1 completed item of the Divine Sundra, so it's very hard for them. They don't even have completed boots, bless them. So they are very far behind on this Viego from where they would like to be, considering their opponent's game state and considering the state of their base at this moment in time as well.
This touches back on what you were saying before with the, Sengoku, they want to try and make a game where there's a possibility of a mistake from V3. I love that from V3 that they made sure that Baron was not one of those places where there was even a 1% chance that could go wrong.
No, they didn't even allow the burger flip remotely. They're just pushing. And look at this. This is a commanding way of playing the game. Washide pushing mid. They're just the other 4 members.
There's a beautiful rel out there to fight under the tires again. The stasis being used to deny any kind of counterplay. In comes Marble, and the Sengoku have lost all their marbles. It's going to be a crushing victory at just on 27.5 minutes. Good Lord, V3, they are not slowing down today.
It might not be the fastest game of the LJL Academy, but that might be one of the most convincing games I've seen in the LJL Academy. Wonderfully performed by the side of V3 Esports. Commiserations to Sengoku, but we thought it might go that way anyway. We tried to think of the opportunities and the way in which it might not, and they did at least find 1 brush play. But at the end of the day, it was all sullen naught, and it was definitely V3 focused from minute 2.
Oh, for sure. And I have to wonder what the game would have looked like if that initial kind of bottom lane disaster hadn't happened for Sengoku. But maybe that's one of the things you've got to deal with when you're the underdog team. Is you're always going to come into the match with a lot of respect for the opposing team and say, they are kind of taking the lead here. And we have to respect everyone in their place. If they go for something, we need to respond. We can't, let them do any play without responding, because if we do, we'll get smashed. As we look a little bit towards the end of the game and see how dominant they were.
Yeah, 4-man Magnet Storm pull up, and then the side of V3 is so quick at collapsing. Marble as well, also with the ultimate Devil Trigger S rank, and yeah, it just went from bad to worse for the side of the from the side of Sengoku in that one. V3 Esports just cleaning up shop, and they looked convincing in this win, and it's important for me to say that because they were pushing 600-700 gold per minute advantage over Sengoku here. That's not going to be nice for anybody else who has to face up against V3 Esports. 2-0 on the day for them, and it felt convincing.
Yeah, and that's what we'd be expecting to see as V3 continue their path of rage through the competition, at least for the sake of every other team. We've got V3 taking a break for the rest of today, but we have reached our halfway mark of the 6 games we'll be bringing today. Here on the LJL OU, we'll be switching across our caster pair to Middlecott and Recollect for the last 3 games. It'll be Axis versus the Hawks, Rascal Jester versus Sengoku, and a Burning Core versus Axis. So do stick around. Plenty more games to come through today. Do bear in mind after today as well that we will be taking a break until next week before we come back to finish off groups. But Swan, it's been a delight to cast you as always. Again, Middlecott Recollect coming up after the break.